Hello friends, I am from Chemistry faculty of QLS Academy. Today we are going to learn how can we represent a chemical reaction in the form of chemical equation. Hope you will enjoy today's lesson. So let's start our today's lesson. So, आज हम chemical equations लिखना सीखेंगे. But first, let's see what is a chemical reaction. In previous classes, you have studied about chemical changes. The changes in which the chemical properties of a substance change and as a result new substance is formed are called as chemical change. For any chemical change to occur, some type of chemical reaction have to take place. For example, burning of wood, burning of coal, magnesium ribbon, reaction between an acid and a base, reaction of iron with copper sulfate solution are all examples of chemical reactions resulting into chemical changes. Chemical changes are always accompanied by some physical changes as well, like change in the color, change in state. कोई भी reactant है उसका color change हो सकता है, उसका state change हो सकता है, maybe वो initially solid state में था, after reaction it may convert into liquid state और vice versa. Change in temperature, temperature बढ़ भी सकता है, कम भी हो सकता है, heat may be absorbed or may be released. Or evolution of gas or light or sound. Now, let's learn about chemical equations. A chemical equation is a summarized symbolic representation of a chemical reaction using chemical symbol and formula of the substances involved in it. कोई भी chemical reaction होता है, उसमें कुछ react करने वाली चीज़ें होती हैं साथ में जो आपस में react करती हैं. So, उन reactants की, उन reacting species के symbol and formula को use करके उस पूरे reaction को एक summarized form में represent करना है, उसे हम कहते हैं chemical equation. A chemical reaction involves two types of chemical species, the reactants and the products. Reactants are the chemical species which react, जो आपस में react करते हैं and form one or more new substance, that is product. The basic way to summarize any chemical reaction is by writing its word equation. For example, when magnesium burns in the presence of oxygen, it actually reacts with oxygen to produce magnesium oxide. To summarize this whole reaction, हमने एक paragraph में उस पूरे reaction को पढ़ा. So to summarize this whole reaction, we can write it as magnesium plus oxygen to give out magnesium oxide. Here, magnesium and oxygen are both reactants and magnesium oxide is the product. In a chemical reaction, the reactants are always written on the left hand side. Reactants को हम हमेशा left hand side में लिखेंगे, while the products are always written on the right hand side. You can see that a plus sign is put between the magnesium and oxygen. Magnesium oxygen के बीच में एक plus sign है. Reactants के बीच में हमेशा plus sign लगाया जाता है. This implies that they are reacting with each other. ये आपस में react कर रहे हैं. Similarly, plus sign is also introduced between the products when more than one product is formed. जब एक से ज़्यादा product form होता है, तब हम उनके बीच में plus sign लगाते हैं. This means product 1 form हुआ है, product 2 भी form हुआ है. For example, when zinc reacts with sulfuric acid, it gives out zinc sulfate plus hydrogen. One more important thing to observe, an arrow pointing towards the right hand side is always used between reactants and products. This arrow indicates the conversion of reactants into products. ये reaction के direction को show करता है. Reaction किस direction में proceed कर रहा है. So, now we know how to summarize a chemical reaction in the form of word equation. But won't it be bothersome if the number of reactants is high or many different products are formed? Or the name of the reactants is way too complicated to write again and again? Let's take an example. Sodium sulfate plus barium chloride gives out barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. Here we have two reactants and two products and all of them have long names. So it would be very much time consuming if we require to write the reaction again and again. To overcome this problem, we can simply replace the words with symbols. So, the reaction between magnesium plus oxygen to give out magnesium oxide can be written as Mg plus O2 gives out MgO. This equation is the actual chemical equation. Now, notice that the number of atoms in the left hand side and the number of atoms in the right hand side are not equal. Oxygen is a diatomic molecule. लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में ऑक्सीजन का एक मॉलिक्यूल है और वी कैन से दैट इट हैज 2 एटम्स ऑफ ऑक्सीजन विच इज टेकिंग पार्ट इन द रिएक्शन. बट व्हेन वी चेक राइट हैंड साइड, द प्रोडक्ट magnesium oxide has only 1 oxygen atom. Recall the law of conservation of mass. Mass can neither be created nor be destroyed in a chemical reaction, which means the mass of the reactants and the mass of the products have to be equal, or in other words, the total number of atoms of each element remains same before and after reaction. So, let's recall the equation of magnesium and oxygen. Mg plus O2 gives out MgO. So, in order to maintain the law of conservation of mass, it is necessary to balance a chemical equation. First, let's list out the number of atoms of each element involved in the reaction. So, here we have two types of elements, oxygen and magnesium. Now, in this table, you can clearly see that though the number of atoms of magnesium is equal on both sides, number of oxygen atom varies. There are 2 oxygen atoms in left hand side but only 1 oxygen atom in right hand side. RHS में 2 ऑक्सीजन एटम्स बैलेंस करने के लिए हम MgO के साथ 2 एज अ कोफिशिएंट ऐड करेंगे. It will convert the equation into Mg plus O2 gives out 2MgO. This made the equation balanced for oxygen, but the balancing of magnesium got disturbed. Now, LHS has 1 magnesium atom while RHS has 2. We can solve this problem by making the number of magnesium atoms to 2. This will give us the equation 2Mg plus O2 gives out 2MgO. Now, let's check if the whole equation is now balanced or not. Now, you can see that LHS में magnesium के 2 atoms है and so is in RHS. Similarly, oxygen के भी 2 atoms है in LHS and in RHS also. Now, let's take a bigger and complex equation. Fe plus H2O gives out Fe3O4 plus H2. Here also we will make a list of all the elements present in the equation and also the number of atoms of those elements present in LHS and in RHS. Now, we will start balancing the equation from the elements which is present in the maximum quantity. जिस element के सबसे ज़्यादा atoms present है, हम उस element से balancing start करेंगे. So here, oxygen has the maximum number of atoms, so we will start balancing from oxygen only. You can clearly see that LHS contains only 1 oxygen atom in a combined state with 2 hydrogen atoms. But RHS contains 4 oxygen atoms combined with Fe, that is iron. So, to balance the number of oxygen, we can increase the quantity of oxygen in LHS. We will add coefficient 4 to H2O. Notice, किसी भी एलिमेंट या कंपाउंड की क्वांटिटी इंक्रीज करने के लिए हम उसके आगे कोफिशिएंट ऐड करते हैं. The original formula of the compound can never be changed. We can't increase the number of oxygen atom to 4 as H2O4. If we do so, the composition of the compound, that is water, will change. ये water नहीं रहेगा, ये कुछ और compound बन जाएगा. So to balance any equation, we will always work on coefficients only. So after balancing oxygen, the equation will become Fe plus 4H2O gives out Fe3O4 plus H2. Now, we will check if other elements are also balanced or not. Here, iron and hydrogen also need to. LHS contains 1 iron atom while RHS contains 3 iron atoms. We can simply increase the number of iron atoms in LHS by adding coefficient 3 to Fe. Similarly, hydrogen can also be balanced by adding coefficient 4 before H2. This will equate the number of hydrogen to 8 on both sides. 4H2O has 8 hydrogen atoms and 4 oxygen atoms. How? जब भी किसी कंपाउंड के फॉर्मूले से पहले कोई भी नंबर एज अ प्रीफिक्स लिखते हैं, इट मीन्स दैट सर्टेन नंबर ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स ऑफ दैट कंपाउंड आर प्रेजेंट. यहाँ H2O से पहले 4 लिखे होने का मतलब है 4 molecules of oxygen are participating in the reaction. And to calculate the number of atoms of individual element, we will multiply the coefficient to the subscript of the elements. So, 4 multiplied by 2 is equals to 8 hydrogen atoms and 4 multiplied by 1 is equals to 4 oxygen atoms. Now, after balancing all the elements, we have the final chemical equation of the reaction, which is 3Fe plus 4H2O gives out Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Here you can clearly see that the number of each atom of each element is now equal on both sides. This is now a balanced chemical equation. in starting of the lesson only, we saw that a chemical equation is the summarized symbolic representation of a chemical reaction. In chemistry, details of any substance is incomplete without its state. So, to properly summarize any chemical reaction, the states of the chemical species has also to be mentioned in the equation. Generally, 4 notations are used to represent the states of the chemical species, and the states are mentioned inside a small bracket as suffix to that particular compound. So, for any reactant or product participating in a solid state, small s is used. For a liquid participant, small l is used. For a reactant or product participating after being mixed with water, जब भी कोई भी compound है वो water में mixed state में अगर use हो रहा है, participate कर रहा है, then suffix aq is used. And for a gaseous participant, small g is used. Now, let's add these notations in the equation we just balanced. For the magnesium and oxygen reaction, it would be 2Mg in solid state plus O2 in gaseous state gives out 2MgO in solid state. 3Fe in solid state plus 4H2O in gaseous state gives out Fe3O4 in solid state plus 4H2 in gaseous state. Notice oxygen and H2O are in gaseous state, means they are derived from air. Oxygen air में present थी जो कि magnesium के साथ react किया. Similarly, H2O was present in air in the form of water vapor. In iron and water reaction, the H2 released in gaseous state is the hydrogen gas, which was evolved during the reaction. Apart from all these notations, sometimes the condition of the reaction are also incorporated in the chemical equation. Such conditions are written on or below the arrow. Temperature, pressure, catalyst are some of the conditions mentioned in a chemical equation. For example, when CaCO3, calcium carbonate, is heated, it gives out calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So friends, this was all for writing a proper balanced chemical equation. In next class, we will learn about different types of chemical reaction. Hope you all have well understood this lesson, as this is the prerequisite of higher chemistry you all are going to study in next chapters in higher classes. If you have any doubt or need any further information, you can always visit the following given link.